The Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal have been credited by even their worst critics as a new wave of politics. But one of the sharpest attacks against them has been their silence on their economic agenda, which has raised many questions about which side of the fiscal divide they're on. But today, ironically, on the same day that the Congress-led government, which has come under the fiercest attacks for corruption in their last tenure, for which they're possibly in their last few days in power, Arvind Kejriwal, who till yesterday was declared by many as a leftist for going after the industrial giant Ambani, spoke at an industrial hub and played to the galleries. His statement that the government has no business being in business, and even clearer that he supports capitalism but not crony capitalism, are the big talking points on social media. But these days, economics and budget speeches are not quite finished until the Chaiwallah is spoken about. And Kejriwal followed the same thread. While Congress and the BJP have spoken about the Chaiwallah as a needy vote bank, Kejriwal used him as the only example of how fighting corruption actually helps capitalism. Is this then a new style of economics, or is this basically what the Congress and the BJP are saying, but coming from a different political party? So that's what we discuss on the social network today, selling capitalism to the Chaiwallah. You can tweet us live on our Twitter handle. It's at TSN on NDTV. And of course, you can send us your comments and your questions. All right, we have a very interesting lineup of guests on the show today. We've got with us Ajay Sharma, who is from the ASU. We've also got with us Pramod ji, who is actually a Chaiwallah. We've got with us Saloni, who is an economist, and she is from the JNU. And we've also got with us Shyam Kishore, and he is representing the vendors out on the streets, and is going to talk to us a little bit about which political party is actually making real concrete promises in terms of reaching out to the people out on the streets. But Ajay, I want to start with you first, since you've looked at the economic policies of the Congress and the BJP. Right. Today, of course, we saw a little bit of an insight into what Arvind Kejriwal actually expects or has in his head about how the economics of this country should be. What do you make of his speech looking at the other? Is this a new style of economics, Ajay?
No, what Arvind ji has spoken today is that in case the corruption comes down, corruption ends, then the cost of doing business becomes easier and simpler. And I think we agree to that, and we welcome to that. What, you will realize that what the industry and the investors have been echoing is what Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has said today. And he very rightly said that in case corruption ends, then the cost of doing business in this country also becomes easier and simpler. And we agree and we welcome this.
So now that it's fairly clear that he's going to be fighting at a national level, that Aam Aadmi Party is basically just keeping the national elections on their agenda, given that the industry has so far heavily supported the BJP's prime ministerial candidate, is that support going to get divided, Ajay?
No, I feel the people are going to decide as to who has the real intention behind what policy announcements they are making.
And what do you think?
And I feel that Mr. Kejriwal definitely has the right intention. And that is the first step towards coming out with the right set of policies. And the country has already been affected by these kind of issues of corruption and misgovernance. And we, as an industry chamber, we believe that this is a concern for the industry and this is a concern for the investors, which has been echoed by Mr. Kejriwal.
All right. And just quickly, before I move on to Saloni, I just want to ask you, in terms of governance, you're saying the intention is right, but somebody has to be able to have the ability to carry through that intention.
Right. And
do you think that in the 1.5 months that he's been in power, he has that ability to carry forward his intention?
Well, we completely believe that he had the right intention, and whatever little time he got, he definitely was able to implement some of these policies which he had already announced.
All right. Okay, Saloni, I'm going to throw that across to you. I'm wondering if Ajay is making politically correct sounds, but what do you make of it?
I think it's too early to comment anything on Mr. Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party, but my point is that this debate is very shallow. If you don't include the, what is actually concerning the Chaiwallahs would be that definitely that the tea shops are, the tea shops are working, but at the same time for these Chaiwallahs, what is more important is that they get the equal opportunities. Their children would get the right amount of the opportunities, the quality of education, all these various schemes that the Congress has launched. I'm yet to listen anything from the Aam Aadmi Party on that front.
Saloni, I want to ask you something about what you just said. This whole equal opportunity and looking at them in exactly the same platform as you would look at, say, somebody else. You know, what's interesting is Kejriwal also, when he talked about corruption and how it actually benefits capitalism in that sense, fighting corruption benefits capitalism in that sense, he used the example of a chaiwallah, and he talked about the fact that this chaiwallah who was selling 8 rupees ki chai is now selling it for 6 rupees, and the reason being that the cops have stopped taking bribes, and that is one of the reasons why he himself has decided to pull the rates down. But the interesting thing is not the point of corruption, but the fact that he equated the chaiwala in a sense to a capitalist. Do you think he's looking at them in the same light?
Yes, I mean, I agree that there is the corruption is one big issue, which, but at the same time, what I want to harp on the point is that the kind of schemes that the Congress and in the past has launched, and more than that, the Aam Aadmi Party has been more or less silent on those kind of schemes, because these schemes are reaching a large amount of people, which cannot raise their voice, because those people are in the very rural poor parts of the country. So, yet,
do you think his economic agenda so far? You think it's a bit limited?
I think it's limited. At the same time, I would say that it's not just one particular sector that you can focus on, and then you can say that the figures will show that the country is moving above the economic.
Okay. Let me quickly bring in Pramod. Pramod ji, आप बताइए जो अरविंद केजरीवाल ने आज कहा है चाय वालों के बारे में, क्या वो सच है? 1.5 महीने में कितना फर्क पड़ सकता है कि क्या पुलिस वाले सच्ची में इतना करप्शन कम कर सकते हैं कि आपकी चाय का रेट गिर जाए?
हाँ, कम हो सकता है।